Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and I'm here with Father Scott Garrett, priest and pastor of St. Paul Mission, which includes Holy Rosary Parish in Dillingham and many other remote villages throughout western Alaska and the islands. We also have with us Malina Baer, multimedia specialist here in the Archdiocese and inaugural Gabriel Fellow with the Archdiocese Chicago Office for Radio and TV, who work with us to record these very interviews. So we're very glad to have you with us too. And Malina is really the connector with Father Scott. We've been getting to know both of you so far, and we were talking about Malina's film, which she just unveiled last fall, Ministry at the Edge of Alaska. And we've been learning a little bit more about what this ministry is, which the film was depicting, giving you a little glimpse into the life, Father Scott's work in Alaska, and who he is, and then the people too that he ministers to and with. Our last segment we were talking a little bit about how that message came through during the filming process, some of the challenges you experienced, how you overcame it, and then too, we were just talking about like what was the inspiration too about why this particular topic. There were two other Gabriel Fellows. They filmed other aspects of ministry here in the Chicagoland area. So I wonder, now that we're in our last segment here, we're going to talk a little bit more broadly. Yeah. You received this amazing degree from DePaul University in documentaries and film at DePaul, a Catholic university. Now you've been here with the Archdiocese, them showing and working with Catholic messages. So I wonder if you could say a little bit about, what's the uniqueness of media and talking about Catholic topics and the work of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I think media is a really powerful tool. I think in this day and age especially, everyone is on either social media or connecting on their phones in any way. Yeah. So I feel that, the visual media, whether that's film, photography, or short videos or anything, is a way to connect with people. It's a way to share information. And sharing and making this documentary was a way to highlight Father Scott's mission, to highlight this community that maybe might not be seen in media, to expose people to ideas, to maybe inspire people to check out their faith, maybe think about, maybe their own beliefs. Or I think making this film, it was made for everyone. Everyone should be able to see it and to watch it and to understand kind of what I'm trying to say. And I think having the open mind and just learning about another community that maybe you don't even know about, or maybe you're not even Catholic or religious, to learn about something new and to be open to that, I think is important, and media provides that opportunity for people to. And then I think it's also more digestible too, because you got visuals and you have something to look at and to watch, and I feel it's not like you're going to a lecture and you're hearing about something. You're kind of participating in this, and I think media is a creative way to connect with people.
Oh yeah, I mean, a word I would use is like accessible.
Accessible,
right?
Yeah.
Films and images. I mean, you can read a book, you can read a short description, but I think that it is much more accessible to a wider audience. Like you said, people of no faith can still be impressed by the message of your film. Yeah. And in a way, I mean, maybe this wasn't exactly what you were intending, but it can be an evangelizing tool.
It could inspire people.
Sense.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
Yeah, to say, wow, somebody is willing to travel by plane, to get to these little tiny communities. It's not like there's a ton of people there. There's not a lot of money in this work. You're not going to get a lot of prestige and power out of it, but he feels called to do this, and those communities so appreciate it, and that there's something so rich in that they're gathering. So anyway, I would say so too. And we talked a little bit earlier about that we want to get out the good news stories.
Yeah,
right?
we want to showcase and highlight that people are here. They're supporting communities. They're helping people. Father Scott is someone who's there for his community. He's there to support people, and I really wanted to highlight the good things that he's doing for his community.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Give thanks in a way by featuring it in this film. It was a beautiful thing. So, Father Scott, you minister to, I think I'm doing a little research, about 150 families in these rural and remote parts of Western Alaska. And we talked earlier about some of the challenges that you face. I mean, there's challenges in the lives of folks there. You said there's a lot of questions and concerns that the people have about their faith. But two, the weather being a great danger. And we were just saying now, somebody is willing to face that danger in ministering and meeting and attempting to meet those needs. You talk about, the risk that you take in doing this ministry and how you feel it's worth it.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I don't know if the person who started this mission, Father James Kelly, actually crashed into a mountain, and it still kind of makes me emotional because it was such a tragic thing. And he was out here for 11 years, and he started the mission. And since after he died, I actually got the chance to fly with him for 3 months right before he died. I came out. I was doing my diaconate. I had to do my diaconate pastoral year in Kodiak, and Dillingham isn't that far from Kodiak. So I flew over here to be with him for 3 months, and we flew out to all these villages, almost every day and around and all that. And then I went back to the seminary for my last year, and that's when he died. He's going to a Palm Sunday Mass over in this place called Togiak, which is about 30 miles west of here. And, that was it. And so that's one of the most tragic things that I face. And a lot of my friends who I've flown with have gotten into bad weather. I mean, there's severe wind, there's icing, there's snowstorm blizzards. There's what they call the milk bottle, where you're flying along, everything's fine, and all of a sudden a blizzard will come in, and then there's snow on the ground, and you can't see, so they call it the milk bottle. It's just all you see is white. And we've had people just fly into the ground, because they couldn't see, and their altimeter was off a little bit, And so, that's probably the worst thing that I have to deal with is the weather. And especially after someone, that I know has maybe died. I look at my airplane and I go, how can I climb back into that thing? And the only way I can climb back into the airplane, I usually wait a couple of weeks. I actually get a little sick to my stomach. And so the only way I can climb back into the plane is knowing without a doubt. And this is why I'm so happy that I had such a strong calling. But I know without a doubt that I was called to do this. There's just no gray area. It's just black and white to me that, yes, God called me to do this, and he's going to watch over me and help me. And I do a lot of little tricks to help me with my judgment. First of all, when I do a mission talk, a lot of times I go out to these places back east, do mission talks and let them know what I'm doing to hopefully get them excited about the Catholic faith. Like I think Malina's film has done that. It's gotten people, hopefully, when she came out here and did this, that they got a little excited about, being a Catholic. And that's kind of what I like to do. And I also have to raise a little money because it's kind of expensive to fly the airplane. But what I do is I give all the kids and all the people this little airplane. And I don't know if you can see it, but it has the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit on it. And I asked them to put it on their backpacks or someplace where they can see it every day and pray for my safety while I'm flying. And that's one of the things that really helps, because I've been into bad weather several times. And this calm just kind of comes over me, knowing that all these people are praying for me. And it really, really helps. And I just... without that, I pray for judgment every day. And even when I tie down my airplane, I want to make sure that I'm thinking of God. And I have a special thing where I don't know, Malina put this in her thing. I have this little rope. And Father Keller, before he died, I was talking about that. His plane actually got blown over when he was out on the plane and just mangled it. And so when I came there, this shortly after his plane got wrecked, he goes, Scott, Father Scott, when I was my father then, but he goes, Scott, when you tie down your airplane, I want you to remember God, never forget that God is with you and to pray. And so when you tie down your airplane, I want you to make 3 knots. And the first one you go in the name of the Father, the second one in the Son and the Holy Spirit.
With each
And
knot,
so,
right? Yeah,
to
you're
this day,
praying.
that's how I tie down my airplane. And so that really helps kind of get me in the right frame of mind. I mean, I was talking about yesterday having breakfast with Jesus yesterday and how everyone should just take a break time in their day to focus on Jesus and focus on God and know that they're there and have him help you, give you the strength to make it through the day. And this has really helped me a lot. It really has. Because sometimes I get so wrapped up in getting the airplane ready and trying to figure out where I'm going and what the weather's doing. I tie down my airplane or untie it. I untie it the same way. And immediately it just kind of centers me and helps me focus on what I'm doing and what my mission is and what my calling is.
That's an amazing gift. Father Scott, you're a gift to the church, you're a gift to these communities, to all of us, through the film and other, I know you have other videos online too, that you're really having an impact far beyond, I'm sure you'll ever know, that this sacrifice that you make, because I'm sure it's frightening that you know what can happen.
I've actually had quite a few close calls with death. I mean, it's happened to me, and just knowing that God is with me. I mean, I've been practicing some of these runways are so short and and in the springtime they're soft. So when you come in there, a lot of times you practice and you land and you touch and go and then you take off again and come around. And so I do that a lot, just practice to keep in shape and with my flying. And one time I touched down and I was going to take off, but the mud caught my wheels. And so I didn't really have time to think. Either I was going to crash into the trees or pull up and try to get out of the mud. And, I decided to pull up and I just barely cleared the trees. So that was one time and I was very scared. And another time I've landed and I've blown out a tire and I'm going all over the runway and all of that. Another time my brakes went out, and brakes aren't really that important when you're landing, as long as you got enough runway, because you can pretty much control the airplane with your flight controls and then just roll to a stop. So brakes aren't really that important, but I've lost my brakes before on landing. And one time I was taking off of King Salmon. It's a long runway, thankfully. And what had happened is I was going to fly into this smaller village called Lee Block, but it was too windy. And so I'm looking down at the people who were going to go to Mass. They're all huddled, going to pick me up on the airport. They're all huddled, waiting, and they wave as I fly over the runway, but it was too windy to land, so I had to fly to King Salmon. And so I landed there, and the next morning I got up to fly back there, and I lost my engine. I mean, I was just pulling off this nice long runway, and my engine just quit, just boom, boom, boom. And so I banged back down on the runway, and then I had to get back to the maintenance hangar. And if I'd have landed in that smaller village and that happened there, I never would have made it. I never would have been able to bring it in. So, and I've been caught in smoke. We had a bunch of fires out here. The wind changed on me and all the smoke enveloped my airplane. And so here I am, I'm flying along at about 1,000 feet and I'm enveloped in smoke and it starts coming in the cockpit and I'm breathing it in. So I have to climb and climb and climb and get out of the smoke. And I finally got up to about 3,000 feet and I was above it. So yeah, I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky to fly out here. And I've been iced up flying along and this fog would come in and I couldn't see out it just froze my cockpit. Right. And so, I mean, what do? You got to turn around and try to look out this little window on the side of your thing and try to figure out where the ground is. Yeah, it gets pretty scary.
It puts things in perspective, I'm sure, very quickly. And it speaks to that when you do arrive somewhere, that people gather. No matter what you're doing, we're going to gather. Father Scott's here. We're so happy that you're here with us, that you're safe. and how much they know it means that you travel and that you take those risks each time.
Yeah, that was Lee Block. That picture right there is from Lee Block. And that was a postmaster and his wife and his kids. I'm still kind of in touch with them, actually. Yeah, they moved out of there. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
that's
gift.
yeah. There they are. There. That's in their house in Lee Block. And, that was the people who were waiting for me when I flew over. And they were down there waiting for me to land, and I just couldn't do it because the wind was blowing 35 to 40 knots crosswind, and there's just no way I can land in that. So yeah,
That's
there they
amazing.
are.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Two
sharing.
on and her little kids there, and
Yeah, I mean, it's right. It's a whole
they
community.
were my altar servers. I had them being my altar servers when I was serving there.
Oh,
Yeah, when I do mass. It was
darling.
What's I think really unique is Father Scott like can say mass anywhere. You know, like here in Chicago, like there's lots of churches.
Yeah.
Father Scott, like we had mass in the community center in Clark's Point, and like the whole village was there, and it like kind of brought me to tears to see that like all these people have gathered for this, and it was really quite beautiful.
Yeah. Bring the sacraments to the people.
Yeah.
You know, meet them where they're at, whatever the need is, whatever the reality is, you just kind of work with it.
Yeah.
Knowing the danger and the fear of travel, that is really, I'm sure, the most important thing to take into account. But I think too that, travel also just goes to show that commitment, that, that the mission of the church is everywhere, that we need to go wherever, God's people are. And ultimately, that your higher calling is what keeps you, coming back to it, even in the midst of these really scary realities. That strong call was the most important thing.
Exactly. And the thing about these villages, you're supposed to separate. Some of them have little schools in there, and you have to have at least 10 children in order to go to school. And to keep the school open, I should say. If you got 9, they won't open it. So a lot of these, you're supposed to separate church and school, but I would go into the schools and they'd let me, the teachers there, depending on who they are, most of them were pretty open to it, but they would let me come in there. And the fact is, I walked in there one Ash Wednesday, and I got all the children lined up, and I all gave them ashes on whether they were Catholic or not. And I've had masses with them in the school, and so it's really nice, and they really find it refreshing to have someone come in there and a minister to come in there and serve the people. And I've talked about a lot of things with the children in these schools, so I think it's helped them a lot. I hope it's helped them a lot. Let's put it that way, because morals and ethics in these public schools are really important.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that the gift of your ministry is far beyond those face-to-face interactions too. I'm sure it's a gift that keeps on giving. So now we're coming to the close of our discussion. I'm sure there's so much more that we could discuss, but we are coming to the end of our time. I want to make sure that we share information with our listeners and our viewers about how they can support this Catholic media and mission at the edge of Alaska. So, Father Scott, you have a really great website. I'm so impressed with. I'm sure maybe you had help. I don't know, but you've done a really great job of telling. All those images that we've been seeing have been coming from your website. So, but tell us where our viewers can go so that they can learn more about you, your ministry, and then how they also might be able to help you.
Yeah, Holy Rosary Alaska. Let me see, holyrosaryalaska.org. All spelled out, no spaces. holyrosaryalaska.org. And I have a little page there, a donation page. If you pray about it and you're willing to maybe donate something, it'd be helpful. I usually have to raise about a third of my budget in order to fly the airplane out here. The diocese here pays a third of my budget, and then the people here, from different donations around the villages and stuff, is another third of my budget. And so I usually do mission talks for 1/3 of that budget, and so ask for donations, whatever. But yeah, the website, I actually update it myself. I mean, I've learned how to do it. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, I think I like it. And actually, there's Melina's video right there, actually.
Yeah, and the
So
film
I
is up
got
there too.
that on there a couple weeks ago. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so it's pretty nice. I love that. I really like that video. I mean, when the first time I watched it, and I mean, it just like Melina said, things brought tears to her eyes. This brought tears to my eyes. I thought it was so good,
Yeah.
and so she did a great job with the culture and bringing in the people, and then having the representation of the Catholic Church, and it just
Yeah.
unfolded really nice.
It was wonderful to sit in the theater and have Father Scott watch it, like all of us collectively watch it together, because
Right.
it was kind of a long process. We were out there for, it was, I think, a total of 3 weeks, I want to say, or 2 weeks. And
Came out twice,
Yeah, it
actually,
came out
December
twice.
and March or something. May,
yeah, so 2
so-
trips, and then to see this all come together, and Father Scott flying out here and getting to see Chicago, and then watch
I
the
love
movie.
Chicago. Yeah. I mean, here I am sitting there eating popcorn, free popcorn, and drinking free Cokes and watching this beautiful video up on a
Yeah.
full screen. Oh, it's just amazing.
Hearing your own voice come back to you.
I was in heaven.
But right, no, I mean that's wonderful. Oh, I'm so. I mean, it's wonderful to hear somebody say like your
Yeah.
film really is
Yeah.
a good depiction of this reality and,
Yeah.
and these people.
And Father Scott has even like shared comments with me that like the community members have seen it and they appreciate it. So
Wow.
that reaffirms that like what we did together is really meaningful.
It'll keep on sending that message out.
Yeah.
And so, now we mentioned that Melina, you have been for this past year a Gabriel Fellow.
Yes.
And your film, it's on Father Scott's website,
Yeah.
holyrosaryalaska.org, but you can also find it on the Archdiocese of Chicago website too, as well as information about the Gabriel Fellowship in general. I think folks can just look up radiotv.archchicago.org and find information. That's Radio TV, no spaces, .archchicago.org, and just look up Gabriel Fellowship. And then there is a page that has all 3 of the films,
Yes.
you and your colleagues. And so we just invite folks to check that out because there are so many wonderful ministries. Melina told a wonderful story, and her colleagues did as well. And we got to focus on these good news stories about the church.
Yeah.
So now here we are at the end. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me and telling your story and sharing your joy and your passion for this good news that we have been called to share. Thank you so much for joining us, Father Scott and Melina.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I really, I was thinking about it in preparing for today, that there are many tools that help us in our mission and ministry. Perhaps it's a bush plane, perhaps it's a camera and a microphone, but we can proclaim that good news with whatever tools we have and wherever we may wind up, whether it's the end of the world or Chicago. So thank you so much. And bless you and your ministry. May God keep you safe, Father Scott, so you can continue.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. And remember, always be on mission.